trained thespian actors performing emotional dialogue, but it could be talking to my hand, talking to my other hand, and doing stick figures with it, because that's the most value you would get from watching this. I'm sorry, I should be looking at you directly, but this movie is bad. I could be talking to you right now, having a conversation with you, like, because I haven't been doing. I'm not even looking at you directly, and that's probably bad too. But I'm telling you right now that this movie is horrible. It was horrible. It was just bizarre, and then. Welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I am your host Ray, and today we're looking at almost lost my mind there. let's go from McLeod. The Haunting of Sharon Tate. Once every third Monday of the month, I do a Razzie review solo. It's kind of a fun thing to do. I try not to focus too negatively on the movie. The movie itself, it won actually. It was nominated for 5 different awards, won 4 out of 5 awards. To give you a honest depiction of what this movie is. So according to IMDb, I'm going to read this to make sure I get this right. Pregnant with director Robert Polanski's child and awaiting his return from Europe, 26-year-old Hollywood actress Sharon Tate becomes plagued by visions of her imminent death. This is 100% true. No doubt. I will also say that director Daniel Ferran has a knack for making like true Hollywood story films. He fuses actual documented or newsreels and implements that into his films. Where there's the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, his future movie called The American Boogie Woman, which will be out sometime later this year or next year. I don't know. There's no date yet. It's the story of Eileen Wuornos. I believe that's how you pronounce the last name. Her story, and you will know her more if you think of Charlize Theron. The movie Monster, the movie which Charlize won the Oscar for, starring opposite Christina Ricci. Eileen Wuornos is considered a serial murderer, and I'm sure director Daniel Ferran is going to implement and use actual news footage, stock footage, and infuse that with telling his story. Ferran is what you would call a auteur director now. He started off as a writer, just to give you some bit of a background. If you want, you can IMDb him. His really big first written piece was he wrote the screenplay for Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. And he's done some short film documentaries. His wheelhouse is doing horror genre type films. He's done some documentary shorts on Jason Voorhees, the Halloween Friday the 13th series movies. His first legitimate directing movie was the Amityville Murders. His second feature film, I think, is this movie. It is The Haunting of Sharon Tate, followed by the same year he did The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson with Mina Suvari. Both the Sharon Tate, the Nicole Brown Simpson, and the Eileen Wuornos films, which has not been released yet, the last one, are true Hollywood story films based on actual events. The Amityville is, if you know the story behind Amityville, it is loosely based on something that is real. It's, what it is. But that is what some people kind of like criticized Ferran for. He tends to maybe go because it's fresh in the minds of people. The victims and the families are still alive. The question of taste has been brought up. I'll say this as a positive. No one sets out to do a really bad movie or a bad film or a short, whatever you want to call it. And the fact that he's able to fuse real life footage and give an authenticity to the film. Like the first 25 minutes of the Sharon Tate movie is really good because he sets up, you're in the house of where Sharon Tate was killed, and you're seeing real life stock footage and documentary footage and news footage of what happened. Like they are how they capture the cameras sweeping through the house and and then you're also getting the film crew and their footage sweeping through the house, and it's for shot really lining up. You're seeing the bodies, and it is sort of eerie. It is, but it's true live Hollywood story. It's a true Hollywood story, and of course, the movie came out just after Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that was sort of polarizing too, because the way they handled the Sharon Tate murder, or story of the Sharon Tate thing. And I think Ferrand probably gets a more flack is because he starts off being authentic, and then he picks and chooses how to do the ending. Uh, so I'm going to say this movie has two things that bothers me, and everything else I will let it go. I will let it slide. Okay, well, let's start off with the basics. Okay, the movie's 94 minutes long. It's described as a horror drama thriller. It is based on the events and tragedy of Sharon Tate and the people who were with her at the time. I think there was a total of 6 victims. Okay, it happened in it happened. They kind of pretty much document August 7th and August 8th and August 9th, like the week that led up to the murder. Okay, and by now everyone knows the Manson family came in and they murdered Sharon Tate and all her friends. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Roman Polanski, her husband at the time, was overseas in Europe filming a movie. He's wrapping up, couldn't be there to be with his wife at the time. Now, Hilary Duff. Okay, so here's where I have problems. So Hilary Duff was 8 months pregnant with her first child at the time. So you can say she was sort of method acting to do this, because she was actually pregnant and really pronounced, and going through the movements, the pains, and the awkwardness of someone who was pregnant. So she was really channeling that part of the character. Now, she is not only the star, but she's a producer of this film. So I'm going to say the buck stops with her, because everything that's wrong with this film, I have to blame her to a certain degree. That being said, I want to say something nice to Hilary Duff. I want to say congratulations. At the end of March, she gave birth to her second child, so I'm happy for her. And I'm really sorry that I'm about to talk smack about this film, because no one wants a bad film. And as I mentioned also to the top of the show, that the film was nominated for 5 awards and won 4. She won for Worst Actress for a Razzie in 2020. And that was it. And the Razzie really hurts her in that sense, because the acting is bad. The acting is so bad in this movie. Hilary Duff looks nothing like Sharon Tate. If she put on a wig, had prosthetics or something, even a birthmark or something to help her look more like Sharon Tate, even in the slightest. But they don't even try to mask the fact that she looks nothing like this actress. And it's jarring, because when it gets close to I would say not the climax, but as your movie's developing and you're going back and forth between the actual actress and Sharon Tate, he cuts back. I'm talking he as in the director, Daniel Ferrand. He cuts back from actual footage of Sharon Tate to Hilary Duff, to the point where they're side by side. And they when Sharon Tate got married, and they're looking at a wedding video, and they're cutting back and forth between Hilary Duff. It's jarring, because she looks nothing like the woman you're seeing on the footage. Ferrand is using actual footage of Sharon Tate for this movie, and he's going back and forth way too much, intercutting with Hilary Duff, which at the end of it throws you off, because she looks nothing like this woman, and not even a wig, nothing at all to even, besides the fact that she's 8 months pregnant, and that's it. That's the only thing you have that makes sense out of this. And speaking of sense, the acting is, oh my gosh, the acting is bad. The acting is crazy bad. Okay, so you have Jonathan Bennett from Mean Girls and Cake Wars. He's a successful actor. I can't act. I can't even hold a soliloquy of Othello and give it the gravitas that it would normally have. You have Lydia Hearst, who is a former Ford model turned actress. She is the daughter of Patty Hearst, a very notorious Patty Hearst. who is also an actress. Lydia grew up on the sets of John Waters films because Patty Hearst was on Crybaby and a bunch of films that John Waters directed. And so she grew up around in Hollywood, around stars, around the making of films. So she got the bug for being an actress young. And there's a scene where these actors, Jonathan Bennett, Lydia Hearst, and Hilary Duff, playing their characters of Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring. Sebring was Sharon Tate's actual hairstylist, and Abigail Folger. And Abigail Folger was the heiress to Folger's Coffee. Her father was the CEO of Folger's Coffee. So there's a scene. There should be another guy too. But anyways, there's a scene where they're on a pool. Now, at this point, Sharon Tate is going through her visions or her nightmares of imminent death, as I mentioned in the IMDb brief. And she's having these sort of like panic attacks, like she thinks she's dying, and they're saying, no, you're just having. They're saying you're having like the hormonal things, and you're just not. You're just stressed out. Makes sense, Make it happen. But when they're interacting and they're talking, and whether they're having a very serious discussion or an emotional discussion, whether it's comedic, whether it's dramatic, doesn't matter what it is. They don't even exist amongst themselves. And when I say that, it's like, I've been to high school. I've seen high school plays. This is worse. High school students do a better job at performing this. You have three people talking to each other, and they're not talking to each other. I mean, there's no connection. I have never seen anybody perform a lines. They deliver their lines with emotion and gravitas and anything that goes with it, but they can be talking to a wall, and that's what you're looking at, because the three people who are looking at each other, they're waiting for that person to finish talk, and then they talk, and they wait for the third person to talk, and then they talk, and then they talk and they say their lines. The other person talks and says their line, but none of these people are communicating in a way that there's any kind of connection. Anyone will see this and say will be jarred by the fact that no one's actually connecting. I don't know how to describe this other than the fact that you could put a wall, a 20-foot brick wall, between all three of these actors as they're saying their line, and the director's saying go, 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 and they're talking to a wall, because that's what's happening. There is no emotional investment between any characters who are talking. It is next level crazy. I've never seen anything like that, where it's like you talk, they're having a serious conversation, there's an emotional stake in it, but I feel nothing at all with these people. It is bizarre. When you look at The Room, say it's one of the worst films ever made, and the acting is all ADR, I'm talking about ADR in a second about this movie. And it's nuts. At least it comes from a place, because he lacked the skills. These people have skills. Bennett has been in acting for years. Hilary Duff is a child actress for 20 plus years. Lydia Hearst is a former Ford model turned actress, but she grew up on the sets of Hollywood. This is just bad. It's just bad. Okay, so ADR. I have to talk about this is because Lydia Hearst's character, her character is Abigail Folger. About a large chunk of her performance was ADR. Something was wrong with the microphone or the mic. They didn't record. I don't know. They didn't say what the issue was. Maybe it was like a train going on, or the mic wasn't strong enough. But ADR is additional recording kind of thing, where basically she goes in studio and resets her lines, and then and then they sync it up into the movie, so it sounds stronger, or she could up the ante in performance. I don't know what the issue was, but a lot of her lines was done in ADR in post, meaning it was done in studio and added on later on to the film. Honestly, when I saw the movie, I couldn't tell. So kudos to them for pulling off the fact that when she spoke, it wasn't really her speaking. It was pre-recorded or post-recorded dialogue onto the film. So That's what I'll say about that. But those are the two things: the matching up of Hilary Duff to Sharon Tate, to the point where it's like they went back and forth too much and almost side by side at one point, and it didn't make any sense. And two, they would talk, and they would not good at trained thespian actors performing emotional dialogue, but it could be talking to my hand, talking to my other hand, and doing stick figures with it, because that's the most value you would get from watching this. I'm sorry, I should be looking at you directly, but this movie is bad. I could be talking to you right now, having a conversation with you, like, because I haven't been doing. I'm not even looking at you directly, and that's probably bad too. But I'm telling you right now that this movie is horrible. It was horrible. It was just bizarre. And then the ending, because you're going to do a movie where the ending is based on reality. Your entire film is true Hollywood story formatting. When even with the Nicole Brown Simpson stuff, which is then a little eerie because, again, the people who are affected by this tragedy is still alive. The families, the neighbors, the people who were there, the officers, they're still alive. The Sharon Tate, Manson died. And it's still sort of fresh in the minds of people still, but there's some time, The Eileen Wuornos story, she's still in jail. The taste of it is questionable. But the point of this is the acting off each other, horrible. Horrible connection. We as an audience do not connect with these people. I don't feel anything for these people. In the end, I was actually rooting for the murderers, which is so bad for me to say that. And it's nothing to do with the actual individual actors per se. It's just that, you guys are horrible. You guys can't act. You need to be taken out. And so I was actually kind of cheering on to see the hairdresser J. Sebring getting killed off. I was kind of like, oh yeah. But then they have this positive, like when they win. There's one sequence where they actually win and they defeat the attackers, and it was just like she's jumping off the raptor. I don't really want. It's like a superhero, like kind of like, no, it was just bad. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's such a bad concept film, and then they end off with the alternate ending, literally an alternate ending, and that's just so bonkers weird. I don't know. Yeah, and that's why I think Hilary Duff deserves. She got the Oscar. She got the Razzie for worst actress, because it's just so bad. And I understand she's channeling method acting through being pregnant. Sure, okay, yeah, but if you're not connecting with anybody you're having that scene with, you're not really doing your job. So. That's all I got. Right now, I know end of March she had her second child, and congratulations to her. She's happy, and this movie is in the rear view. So good for her, and good for this film to be forgotten where it should be. And that's really all I'm going to say. It is a horrible film. If you want to waste your time and see really bad act, like if you want to have, if you want to have a movie night where it's like, I want to watch The Room, I want to watch like Cats. I want to watch Haunting with Sharon Tate. If you want to have that kind of like, let's have like, what's it, aliens, invasions of like, Cloud Nine from Outer Space, whatever that Ed Wood movie is. If you want to have that kind of a night, The Haunting of Sharon Tate is up there with the preposterous films. It is so bad. You actually can have like drinking games on the acting of how they interact with one another. It is so bizarre. My favorite scene that's really bad is at the poolside between Jay Sebring and Sharon Tate and Abigail Folger, where they're having this conversation and they're thinking she's hormonal and having these panic attacks where her dreams are, and they're trying to comfort her, and she's like not having it, and it doesn't make sense, and I love it. It's just. This is where you can have a shot for every time she says a certain line or has a freak out. So, there you go. So, where to reach us? You can catch us at www.thepantheonofm.com. Check out our website. I usually do a blog for our Friday afternoon features. I don't do a blog for the Razzies. I should, but I'm not going to. It's just, I don't want to talk smack too much about a movie that's not that good. But I don't mind talking about it. Writing about it, not so much. Also, you can check out our Instagram and Twitter account. Evie and I, we used to go to the States quite a bit, or I traveled to the States, go to the Comic Cons, the Fan Expos, the Wonder Cons, and I've taken photos of a lot of the Q&As I've been to. So whether it's the Back to the Future cast, or the Lost Boys reunion, or there was one with Blade Runner, the original cast reunion on that at the Fan Expo. So every month I have a photo of some of our Q&As and our travels and the celebrities we've met. The actual photos where we have the one-on-one with the celebrities, I haven't posted any of those stuff on. There's some stuff with me and Amy Acker, and me and Ray Park, and Evie and I with Ray Park, and who's the young kid who played Anakin Skywalker in Phantom Menace? I forgot his name. So anyways, there's a picture of Evie and I that exists out there where we're with Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul, and the young Anakin Skywalker, the actor themselves, doing that. So we could post that up at some point, but check out our Twitter and Instagram account at Pantheon of M, whether it's Instagram or Twitter. I'll put up, every month I put up a new photo. I've been putting up photos for the last year, I think now. So you got like 12 or 13 images for either side. Also, I've been to Montreal and Toronto and others in other cities where I've actually sat in to see other podcasters. So if you watch our Twitter account, I think it is. No, our Instagram account, I posted, I think, 2, maybe 3 photos of other film podcaster reviewers that I am a fan of, and I put there on our Instagram account. So check it out. Also, if you want to listen to a longer version of this podcast, which you probably are doing right now, you can check out check us out on Spotify, Podbean, Podbay, Breaker Radio, Radio Public Podcast. The website will have, I think, about 9 outlets: Spotify, Google Podcast, stuff like that. Where you can find us for the audio version, stuff like that. But if you listen to us right now, you don't have to, because you're listening to us right now. But you could catch us if you want to catch our YouTube channel. Yes, definitely on YouTube. We're on YouTube every week. And the catch, if you want to get a direct line, because it's hard to find us on YouTube, go to the website, and then that's the best way to catch us. And again, that's at www.thepantheonofm, not the, pantheonofm.com. There's no the. And that's it. So with that, we'll be back we'll be back in 3 weeks for another Razzie review. I'm going to be doing, give me a heads up, a Medea funeral. I thought Medea was going to be dead. I was wrong. She ain't dead. Or he ain't, Medea's not dead. And it is, oh man, gosh, that movie, every guy was more jacked than the one before him. Like, it was just one of those films. And I thought the body, when I saw the body on this, when a person died, I had no idea who died. I'll get into that in 3 weeks' time. That movie was awesomely weird. So with that, people, I will see you next week, actually this Friday with Evie, and then you'll be catching our shows. May the 4th is coming up. We're doing a Star Wars review. The first Monday of every month, Chelsea and I do a horror review. So May 3rd and May 4th, you're getting a double feature of audio portions of the podcast. And then in 2 weeks' time after that, I'll be doing the Medea review on the audio portion of the podcast. And of course, every Friday you have Evie and I doing a review on the audio portion of the podcast. So May seems to be really tight, full of stuff. And I look forward to talking with you later. So with that, good night, so long, and I hope you enjoy the Razzie review of The Haunting of Sharon Tate.